Hey guys, Down Phoenix here, and I want to discuss a couple of birthday gifts that I got from my wife Jessica. The first was this homemade kind of a comic book that she made called The Totally Absurd and Extremely Inconceivable Adventures of Justin B. That's me. And so, you can just kind of see, she put a lot of work into this, like a lot of cutout type stuff, and the pages are, really nice. She used a lot of tape and things like that, This is kind of like more of a personal thing, I'm not really going to read the story or anything to you, I just want to kind of show you guys what this is like and everything like that. It's pretty much an adventure of me saving my wife from some monsters at the flower shop that she works at. Not her bosses, by the way. But, yeah, it's a really cute book, and I really like it, It's definitely one of the most memorable birthday gifts I've ever gotten. And so I really like to thank her for that, because, I really got a kick out of it. I really enjoyed it. And this is the other thing she got for me. SimCity. Yes, I'm a big SimCity fan. I've been playing SimCity basically since the Super Nintendo. It was actually the second Super Nintendo game I've ever played, the first being Super Mario World. Not a big surprise there, because they're both launch titles, and Mario World came with the Super Nintendo, so obviously, if you want to play SimCity, you have to buy it separate, but, everybody that I know that grew up with the Super Nintendo back in the day is familiar with that franchise. Also, like at my school, for instance, I remember that in a couple of the computer classes, they had SimCity 2000 up and running there. That was pretty sweet. SimCity 2000 actually was the very first game I've ever pirated. Way before I even knew of emulators or anything like that. That's not really something to brag about, I guess, but, I really got a kick out of the game, and I eventually did legally own it. And SimCity 3000, I bought that one. That game was pretty good as well. I don't remember it being as good as SimCity 2000 or the next game followed from there, SimCity 4. SimCity 4 is probably my favorite so far in the franchise, because it really, I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not going to really try to bother explaining the reasoning why, but SimCity 4 is my favorite, followed by SimCity 2000. And then SimCity and SimCity 3000 are in between, they're about the same to me, And then we've got this one right here. Actually, I have got a chance to play this somewhat, and as you can see, I have an actual disc. If you know me, I usually buy digital download games, but my wife wanted me to give me something that was actually physical, and so she got this for me from Amazon. And so, I have my installation instructions. Yep, and hero and villain set, which all you gotta do is just basically pop this in and you get that. All it is just two freaking buildings that you can put, and you get a few missions with them. And then I get a little handy control guide, which I have no freaking need for at all, because computer games are really freaking easy to play nowadays. There's really no need for this crap anymore. This was like a 90s, 80s kind of thing. So yeah, and of course, here's my serial code, which has already been used. I'm not gonna... Actually, you know what, that's the first thing I want to talk about is the serial code, because, I got this game, UPS delivered it at around 10 o'clock in the morning. I went over to my mother-in-law's house, that's where the game was delivered, I picked it up, and, that was about 11 o'clock, got home, I started installing it and everything like that by about 11:30, and so the game prompts me to enter in my, code. So, the Origin prompt, I'm already familiar with Origin. I have a few games on Origin. I mainly prefer Steam, but I don't really have a particular bias against Origin. At least from what I've experienced so far, it's been a pretty good service. It's just that I don't really buy a whole lot of games because Origin's sales and things like that usually tend to suck. So, the few games that I do have on Origin, were all on sale, and only one of them were actually officially bought from Origin. Everything else I've got was from some kind of download code or something like that I activated on Origin. So anyways, I put this code in and hit next, and nothing happens. So I just sit there for a couple minutes or so. Nothing pops up on the computer. I check the task manager. No processes seem to be running or anything. So I was like, I don't know. So I figured maybe I just needed to go into the actual Origin client and activate it there. And then it tells me that the code's already been used. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe the code's already been used. Maybe I just have to go back into the install on the disk again. It tells me again the code is used. So I'm like, well, what's going on here, So I went ahead and checked on my Origin library. Sure enough, the game is not there. I didn't get any kind of email confirmation that the game was activated or anything. I had no idea what was going on. It said the code was used, but it wasn't tied to my account at all. So, I tried to reach out to EA Live Chat first of all. It said that I had about a 20 to 25 minute wait. It's like, okay, whatever, I'll go ahead and do this. And so I go ahead and, fart around EA's site a little bit more, and I see they have a Twitter account. So I go ahead and, it's like ask EA, at Ask EA Help or some shit like that, So I go ahead and get on the Twitter account, and so I'm like, I tell them my issue and everything like that. And they get back to me, and eventually they're like, oh, some issue we're working on, please stay tuned. And so I'm like, whatever. So, I'm pretty mad for about an hour and a half or so until I realize, all of a sudden the game just pops up in my Origin. Like I closed Origin and logged back in after reading on the EA forums and stuff like that. And someone said that worked for them. So I did that, and it magically worked for me. But I couldn't get it to install from the disk still, so I just had to download it from Origin and had to give it about a half hour or so for the download and installation to finish up. And I was finally able to play the game, but I couldn't play from a North American server. The game only had 5 servers at the time of launch. And, I'm going to pull up the game right now to see how many servers there are now. But, there's only 5 servers. There was 2 North American servers, 2 European servers, and 1 Oceanic server, which, for those that don't know, that's like Australia and New Zealand and shit like that. So, I go ahead and, I'm like, well, the North American servers are all listed as busy. But the Europe server, Europe West 1, that seems to be available. So I go ahead and connect on there. I go through the tutorial, and I play for a good few hours. I really get into the game, and I'm really enjoying it and everything like that. I have this little town that I've been making, that I've got a pretty good population on, specialize in mining and coal, and I have like a coal power plant that I use to power my city, and a neighboring city I sell some power to. And, I loan out some garbage trucks to another city, and in exchange, I buy some water from another city, and they help me with, like, their police and fire until I was able to, get enough money and everything like that. And then, of course, I started getting into mass transportation with buses and stuff like that. And so I start loaning out some of my buses and stuff like that, too. Some of the neighboring communities, and it's all a good time, and, I'm like, well, I want to take a little break, I got both this game and Tomb Raider all on the same day, so I'm like, maybe I'll go ahead and hit up Tomb Raider for a little while. So, I didn't come back to the game for the rest of the day, and so the next day, I come back to it, and it's like, Europe server 1 is not active, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll choose a different server. Well, there's one little problem with that. As a matter of fact, none of the games in there, anything like that, are synced between all servers. Every server has its own unique, save games and stuff like that. So essentially what that means is if I play Europe server 1 and then I connect to North America East 3 or something like that, my city's not going to be there. I have to start all over again. The region that I was in is not there anymore. So that's a pretty shitty design right there, because I just don't understand why they couldn't have, I mean, like more of a synchronized setup with the servers and everything like that. Like, okay, so, you know, I'm looking over the server list right now. So we have 6 Europe West servers, and my mouse kind of, I don't know, and we have 3 Europe East, 2 Oceanic, so that puts us up to 11 so far, just from Europe and Oceanic. And then we have 4 American West servers and 4 American East servers. So that's a total of 19 servers. Did I mention that there was only 5 servers at the beginning of this game? Does EA not realize that SimCity is one of the top-selling PC games of all time? It's one of the most well-known PC games of all time. Even like some of the more crummy versions, like SimCity Societies, have been multi-million sellers. Do they not realize that this is most likely one of the biggest PC exclusive releases of this year? Probably the only PC game that's going to outsell it this year is, you know, the StarCraft II Heart of Swarm. Do they not realize that? Apparently they don't. Apparently they had no idea that they would have this kind of demand in this game. And it's not like they haven't done beta testing. I did beta testing for this game. I did the first closed beta I did. Apparently revealed that apparently in some regard the game can be done as single player, because the first beta test I had didn't have any kind of region selection or anything. It just gave me a plot of land and I built just like you did in the old SimCity games. You know, you didn't have other regions to worry about. You didn't have the power sharing and water sharing and all that crap, you know, trade and whatnot. You just built a city, just like in the old games. You know, I mean, SimCity 4 to a degree had some of that region sharing stuff. You know, it wasn't quite as in-depth. It was a lot more simplified, and you didn't really have as much control over it. But, yeah, for the most part, that played like a single-player game. I didn't have any interactions with other players. And, you know, I just don't understand why that functionality is not in the game at all. I mean, I get, you know, that what Maxis and EA's trying to do. You know, they're trying to give it this online connectivity. They're trying to basically give this something different, something that separates it from the rest of the franchise. I respect that. You know, I don't have problems with games that require an online connection. What I do have a problem with is not being able to play the game. It's not a, you know, it's not something that takes rocket science to figure out, I paid $60 for this game. I don't really give a shit if I get to play it or not. I'm just going to put it up on my shelf. Yeah, that's probably about 0.5% of gamers out there, tops. You know, I mean, there are some gamers that really don't care about much other than the collecting aspects of it. And if you're one of those gamers, just wait for this to come down in price. There's really no need to get this. As you can see, there's really nothing collectible about this. It's got the EA pamphlets of doom, you know, like, oh my god, we are EA. We're going to be as environmentally friendly as possible. Oh, but we're going to still make our cases plastic so that if you go into the store and you try to hijack the game, it's going to be a little more difficult than if we, say, made a paper box or something like that, like they did for old computer games. So yeah, not so environmentally friendly. They did kind of do a formal apology for the server issues and things like that, and they said that they are going to, you know, give out a free game to anyone that activates their copy of SimCity before March 18th. They will reveal the details on March 18th. Kudos to EA for doing something to try to make amends for this. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that, for one, the game didn't have any kind of single-player offline component. If they wanted to even make it like more basic, you know, and not have, you know, certain aspects of the game, fine, whatever. You know, at least having some kind of single-player component would give us a reassurance that, for one, we could actually play the game when, you know, something like this happens. And for 2, it also gives us kind of a test bed. It lets us experiment with stuff without having to fuck around with the regions and screw everybody else over in the region. Like it gives us an ability to experiment with the game with different types of cities and things like that without, making a poor experience on the other players. So, I kind of wish it had that kind of component. And it's all in the name of piracy. Look at this. I bought this game. I own this game. EA. This is a legitimate copy. You can see this is not a self-printed label. It's got an actual silver disc. There's no green shit or nothing like that shows that I just burned the disc on my computer. This is a legitimate copy. I can find a receipt and my wife's email and show you that yes, this game was purchased. Okay, so I really don't need to deal with this kind of crap. I wonder, I got Europe West 1. That's where my cities are. I'm going to see if I can play it right now. Okay. It says authenticating with SimCity servers. Your game is ready to play. Well, you know what? That's the first time I've seen that message since Wednesday. So, I'm going to try to play now. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over. And I'm just going to take a quick look at the camera to make sure that you can see it. Okay, good. Okay, so, yeah, this is the introduction to the game here, as you can see. And welcome back down Phoenix, right there. Send us your best cities, digital deluxe edition. Okay, so I can, finally play. It's only been 3 days since I've last played this game now. And so I can finally hop into one of these other regions that I've been playing. But, if you noticed, I didn't know if you noticed before, I'm going to go ahead and exit the game because I'm, just kind of doing this for demonstration purposes. Oh, you know what? I did want to note something here. They disabled features like achievements and leaderboards and stuff like that in order to get the game to work. Isn't that sad? I don't know what leaderboards and achievements would have to do with the online connectivity. Why couldn't the achievements be localized? I mean, everything is apparently in the cloud in this game, yet we still have to download about 10 gigabytes of data to play the game. That's not really cool, It's not cool to do that. We're not playing an MMO. We paid a single fee for this game, and we should be able to play it. Okay? This is not rocket science. This game seems really cool. From what I played, this game is excellent. This could possibly be the best SimCity game out there. But most people right now have no idea that it is because of the issues it's been having. EA really had done a shitty job of handling the demand. They should have been able to look at the pre-order statistics and see, okay, we have I don't know, I have no idea how many pre-orders they have. Maybe they had 260,000 pre-orders. So maybe if they had 260,000 pre-orders in the US, then they can think, probably for early launch, they should at least have enough capacity to be able to handle twice that number of players. And really, they should have their other servers, they should already have their capacity ready for other regions that were launching the game. Like Europe, I believe, their version launched on Thursday. And that's actually when I started having problems, because I was playing on the Europe server, because I had to, because no North American servers were available. Okay, so they need to get that addressed for all future launches. Secondly, they need to figure out some way to synchronize the data of the cities between all the servers, so that we don't have to restart from scratch every single time just because the server we're trying to play on is full or it's down for maintenance or whatever. Okay, I know that it may not be the most easy thing to do. Like a lot of MMO games have similar server setups, and when you connect to those servers, your characters are embedded specifically in that server. You know, I can understand where some of that issue is. You know, maybe one possible solution is you could actually let us save our city on the games on our computer as well. And as long as we put that city in that exact region square that it's on, then everything will be compatible. That would be pretty cool. That would be at least some kind of solution to this little problem that EA has. Or, you know, better yet, maybe they could just rework the whole server thing. In the meantime, allow some kind of offline component, just so that we can actually play the game in the meantime. And, you know, I would recommend keeping that offline component in there after that. But they need to figure out some kind of way to allow for, I guess, like a peer-to-peer system. So that, you know, like the regions are more flexible. And we don't just play with those specific people. You know, like we can actually have our city kind of be connected to one person, and it can be connected to another, even though they might not know each other. You know, they might not know each other, so their cities are not linked between each other at all. But my city's linked to each of theirs. You know, something like that would be really cool. You know, I was kind of hoping for something like that. You know. But it is what it is. This is SimCity, guys. This is SimCity. And apparently I could play it now, but I'm kind of disappointed. I don't think I'm going to play it right now because I'm a little pissed off. I'm really pissed off, actually. You know, I really... you know, they promised us that this would not be a repeat of Diablo 3's launch problems. But apparently we know that's not true. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that now. This, I can only play it when EA deems necessary. This, I can read it and look at it whenever I want, because my wife loves me enough to make gifts that are not locked with DRM. So with that, guys, Down Phoenix out.